Good morning, everyone. In this video, we are going to talk about solving linear inequalities on Study Island. I'll go through as many examples as possible. I don't want to keep you forever, so let's get started. So there are some differences between inequalities and equations that we have talked about earlier, one of which is the sign that we use. Instead of the equal sign, we use greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. This is the main difference. And the second difference that I can tell you is that when you divide or multiply an inequality by a negative number, you flip the sign. If it's equal sign, like when you flip it, it's going to look the same, so that doesn't change anything. But if it's less than, greater than, when you divide or multiply by a negative number, you need to flip the sign. That's the second and biggest difference. Okay, so the first question is about a compound inequality, which means when we put two inequalities together, okay, when we combine two inequalities together, it becomes a compound inequality. Let's get started. So the point is always the same. When we solve an equation or an inequality, get the variable all by itself. So in here, our variable is x. It's in the middle, so start from the furthest term to get rid of. That's the point when we solve an equation or inequality. So the furthest term in the middle is plus 7. I'm going to get rid of that by doing its opposite, which is minus 7 from all of the sides. When we have an equation, we have only two sides. When we have an inequality, we have only two sides, but in a compound inequality, we have three sides, left, middle, and right. So I'm subtracting the 7 from all of the sides. Negative 3 minus 7 is negative 10. Bring down the sign. Bring down what you have left, because these are going to be gone. And then less than or less than 10. 17 minus 7 equals to 10. Now, 2x is in the middle. I'm trying to get the x by itself. It is 2 times. Divide all of the sides by 2 to get rid of that 2 times. These are gone. Middle term becomes x. Bring down the signs. Do not flip any of the signs because we did not divide it by negative 2. We divided it by 2. If it is positive, do not flip any signs. Left side becomes negative 5. Right becomes positive 5. That's my answer right here. So question number 2. I'm not going to do this one because they look exactly the same. I will scroll down a little and see if there are different questions. Yeah. Okay, let's do this one here. Question 3. Okay, yeast, a key ingredient in bread, thrives within the temperature range of 90 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Write and graph an inequality that represents the temperatures where yeast will not thrive. Will not. Okay, this is important. So if it is in between these two, it'll thrive. If not, it says write an inequality. I don't understand where we can write that inequality. There's no point of writing an inequality. So what we can do, we are going to use these tools that represents the temperatures where yeast will not thrive. Okay, here is the inequality that is going to, if it's not going to thrive, it is not going to be in between these two, right? It's going to be less than 90, more than 95. In that case, it's not going to thrive. So if it is less than, let's say x is the temperatures is going to be less than 90 or more than 95. That's what we need. In this case, again, if it is in between these two, within the temperature range, here is when it will thrive. If x is between 95 and 90, within the temperature range, so we need to include those two temperatures, we are fine. But this one says not. So anything except for that. It's not going to be between 90 and 95. It is going to be less than 90, more than 95. 90 is not included, so you'll need an open point at this degrees, and you'll need an arrow, which is a ray right here, indicating the left, okay? An open point and a ray. And then we need the same thing for 95 and up. 95 is not included, and we need an array indicating all of the degrees higher than 95. So this would be the area that the yeast is not going to thrive. Okay, moving on to another question. It's not a compound inequality. Let's do one where we don't have a compound inequality. I'm looking for one that will give me negative. Okay, I'll come to that. There is a question that I want to do here first. Let's do question number 6. Solve the inequality for x. Get the x by itself. So x is on the left side right here. That should be by itself. That ax, that's my first step, and then I will divide each side by a. That's going to be my last step. So to get this guy over here all by itself, I need to get rid of that right there. So let's just subtract it because it was added. So ax is greater than, bring down the sign, then c minus b. These are not like terms, so I put them next to each other. I'm trying to get the x by itself, which means get rid of the a that is multiplied. I'm dividing to get rid of the multiplication, and then keeping everything else the same. So x is greater than c minus b all over a. That would be my answer for this question. Okay, now I'm going to do one more inequality that'll give me a negative t, so that I'll need to flip my sign. Okay, let's do it. Solve the inequality below for t. You don't necessarily need to end up with a negative t, but I will do so in here so that I can show you how to flip the sign and when to flip it. So the student instinct is putting all of the variables is on the left side. That's the most common student instinct. When you solve an inequality or an equation, you usually put all of the variables on the left side. I don't do it. I just try to keep my variables positive, so I don't need to end up dealing with flipping a sign. In here, again, student instinct, put the t's on the left side. I know you will think about that. So there's negative 9t and negative 18t. We need to combine those two together, and then we need to combine the numbers. So I start with the variables all the time. It's just a personal preference. Plus 9t plus 9t. Now I will bring down everything. 8 minus 18t is greater than or equal to negative 28. Everything else is cancelled out. Oh, my bad. I forgot that I was combining negative 18 plus 9t. So negative 18 plus 9 is negative 9t. Okay, so these two are cancelled out, just in case you don't realize. Now I'm going to combine that 8 and this negative 28. Since I've already had my variable on the left side, I need to get rid of that 8. Okay, so that I only have my variable on the left instead of variable and the number together. So it is positive 8. I need to subtract it to get rid of it. Boom. Now bring down everything else. Left side is negative 90 is greater than or equal to, combine these two together, negative 36. The only thing that is left is getting the t by itself. It is negative 9 times, so I need to divide. I'm not going to add 9 to each side just because there's a negative in there. It is multiplied by the t. So divide by negative 9, divide by negative 9. Now, since I'm dividing by a negative number, I need to flip my sign. So these are going to cancel each other out. My final answer is going to be t. Flip your sign. Instead of that greater than or equal, turn your sign into less than or equal. Divide these two numbers. They're both negative. They'll give you a positive 4. T is less than or equal to positive 4 would be my answer for this question. Okay. Okay, let's see if there is another question that looks different. Okay, they're all the same. You're going to solve these two separately. For this, there's the only difference is you're going to solve two of them together at the same time. Or let me just do it. Okay. In here, first, solve the first inequality, 4x minus 4. I'm doing plus 4 to each side to get that 4x all by itself. 4x is greater than negative 16. Now, to get rid of that 4, I'm dividing both sides by 4. So x is greater than negative 4. This is my first set of solution. If x is greater than negative 4, like negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, it becomes my solution. And there's the second one here. Negative 2x is less than or equal to negative 14. It's just one step. To get the x by itself, you got to get rid of the negative 2 times. It's times you need to divide by negative 2. Right here, x is less than or equal to, oh, remember what we do when we divide by a negative? You see, I was about to forget it. So, when we divide by a negative, we flip the sign that we have, divide the two negatives, it gives me a positive 7. So, if x is greater than negative 4 or greater than 7, that would be my answer. So, let me show you one thing. Let me see if that's in the answer. Okay, so the answer to this is not going to be C. You see that? Number 10 is B. It's not C, even though, like, we found x is, oh, that doesn't say greater than, anyways. But, okay, even if you had this as your answer, okay, let's say we have an E, a fifth option that says x is greater than negative 4 or x is greater than 7. Even if you had this one in the answer, this would not be the correct answer. Because what this means, to be able to understand this, comprehension is the key. So if you don't know what and or means, like literally, you may end up with the wrong answer. So, again, that's not the answer. First reason, this one says x is less than 4. We found that x was greater than negative 4. That's not going to be, like, they're not the same. So, what this means, x could be numbers such as negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and so on. And what this means, x could be 7 because it says equal, greater than or equal, 8, 9, 10. It says or. It's either this one here, it's either this one here, or that one here. Pick whichever covers more numbers. Okay, that's the logic behind this word up here. Pick the option that covers a greater number of numbers. So here, look at all of the numbers that could be our solution. It includes all these negatives, and from 0 to up to 6, okay, and then 7, 8, 9. And this one here starts from 7, 8, 9, and then goes on forever. All of these numbers, look, all of these numbers are already part of this. So if I just say that this is the solution, x is greater than 7, which is A, that means I'm just ignoring all these numbers like negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, and so on. Those could be my solution too. I just figured it out. It was either this one or that one. But this is already covered in that area, so that would be my answer. X is greater than negative 4, which would be B. The only tricky question that you can end up with is this one, I guess. The others are pretty simple, and as long as you follow the procedures, you'll end up with the right answer. This one, you need to think a little further about what this word means and which one is covered by the other option, if it's a thing. So that was it for this lesson, guys. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in another video.